Have you ever scrolled through your contacts, your social media friends list, or the faces at a party and felt a profound sense of loneliness? Have you had a friend who, after years of shared laughter and secrets, suddenly faded away when a job changed or life took a different turn, leaving you wondering what the bond was truly made of? Or perhaps you've experienced the reverse, a relationship that initially seemed inconsequential slowly, over years, became a cornerstone of your life, a source of strength and unwavering support. In our hyper-connected world, we are surrounded by more friends than ever before, yet we often hunger for something more substantial, more real. We feel the weight of transactional relationships, the emptiness of gossip-based cliques, and the quiet yearning for connections that not only bring joy, but also help us become better versions of ourselves. We intuitively sense that friendship is more than just shared history or mutual affection, but we lack the vocabulary, the framework, to understand its different forms and their true value. For answers, we can turn to a thinker who lived over 2 millennia ago, but whose insights into human nature remain stunningly relevant. Aristotle. This ancient Greek philosopher, a student of Plato and tutor to Alexander the Great, dedicated a significant portion of his seminal work, the Nicomachean Ethics, to the subject of friendship. For Aristotle, friendship, philia, was not a minor social pleasure. It was a fundamental component of a good and flourishing life, a virtue most necessary for our existence. He observed, analyzed, and categorized friendship with the precision of a biologist classifying species. He understood that not all friendships are created equal, and that much of our modern confusion and pain in relationships stems from not recognizing these essential differences. Aristotle's framework provides us with a timeless map to navigate the complex landscape of human connection. By understanding his 7 core wisdoms, we can learn to identify the true nature of our relationships, invest our energy wisely, and cultivate the kinds of bonds that are not just pleasant, but essential for a life well lived. 1. Recognize the 3 types of friendship. Before we can manage our friendships, we must first understand what they are. Aristotle's foundational wisdom is that friendship is not a monolithic entity. He proposed that all friendships fall into one of 3 distinct categories, each defined by its underlying motive and objective. This classification is not about judging some as good and others as bad, but about bringing conscious awareness to the nature of our bonds. The first type is friendship of utility. This is a bond formed between people who are useful to each other. The affection is not directed at the person themselves, but at the benefit they provide. Think of the colleague you rely on to meet a project deadline, the neighbor who waters your plants when you're away, or the business contact with whom you have a mutually beneficial arrangement. These relationships are functional and often temporary. They are pleasant and necessary for navigating life, but they have a natural expiration date. The moment the utility vanishes, the project ends, you move neighborhoods, the business deal concludes, the friendship typically dissolves without much fanfare. There is no deep longing for the other person in themselves. The second type is friendship of pleasure. This connection is based on the enjoyment you derive from one another's company. You share a common interest, a sense of humor, or a fun activity. This includes your weekly tennis partner, your book club friends, or the person with whom you love to discuss the latest films. The focus here is on the shared experience and the positive feelings it generates. These friendships are vibrant and enjoyable, adding sparkle and delight to our lives. However, like the friendship of utility, they are contingent on an external factor, the source of pleasure. If your tastes change, you stop playing tennis, or the humor turns sour, the foundation of the friendship crumbles. The third, and in Aristotle's view, the highest form, is friendship of virtue, or character friendship. This is the rarest and most complete form of friendship. It occurs between two people who are good and alike in virtue, who wish the good for each other for the other's own sake. Here, the bond is not about what you can get utility or how you feel pleasure, but about who the other person is. You love and admire their character, their integrity, their courage, their kindness. The relationship is based on a shared commitment to goodness and a mutual desire to support each other's growth and flourishing. In modern world, most of our social networks are a complex ecosystem of these three types. The problem arises when we confuse one for another. We feel betrayed when a utility friend doesn't provide emotional support during a personal crisis. But we never establish that kind of bond. We are heartbroken when a pleasure friend disappears after a life change, forgetting that the shared activity was the entire glue of the relationship. Aristotle's first wisdom invites us to conduct a friendship audit. Take a mental inventory of your key relationships. Categorize them, not with judgment, but with clarity. Who are your utility friends, your pleasure friends? And do you have, or are you cultivating, even one or two friendships of virtue? This simple act of recognition is liberating. It allows you to appreciate each relationship for what it is, release the burden of unrealistic expectations, and direct your energy toward nurturing the connections that have the potential for true depth and endurance. 2. Cultivate the slow growth of character friendship. If friendship of virtue is the pinnacle of human connection, how do we achieve it? Aristotle's second wisdom is a sobering but crucial one. These supreme friendships cannot be rushed. They are, by their very nature, slow to develop and require a significant investment of time and shared experience. His reasoning is practical and profound. A friendship of virtue is based on a deep knowledge and trust of the other person's character. And character is not something that can be displayed or assessed in a single meeting, or even over a few months. It reveals itself slowly over time through a consistent pattern of actions, decisions, and responses to life's challenges and temptations. You need to see how a person handles stress, failure, success, and moral dilemmas. You need to witness their reliability, their honesty, and their capacity for kindness when it costs them something. This process of mutual discovery and verification cannot be expedited. Slow-cooked friendships, as we might call them today, are built on a foundation of countless shared moments, the ordinary as well as the extraordinary. It's not just about the great trips and celebrations, but also about the quiet conversations, the moments of silent support, the times you've seen them be patient with a stranger or stand up for a principle when it was inconvenient. This gradual accumulation of evidence builds a fortress of trust that allows the friendship to withstand the inevitable conflicts and hardships that arise. Our modern culture is obsessed with speed and instant gratification. We speak of fast friends and feel pressured to form deep bonds quickly. Social media exacerbates this by creating an illusion of intimacy through shared posts and likes. We mistake knowing about someone's life for knowing them. Aristotle's wisdom calls for a shift in our mindset from a consumer of friendships to a cultivator. We must resist the pressure to force intimacy and instead allow it to grow organically, respecting its natural timeline. This means investing consistently in the relationships that show promise, even when it's not exciting or immediately rewarding. It means valuing the slow, steady, and sometimes boring work of showing up again and again. Ask yourself, are you giving your most promising friendships the time and space they need to mature? Are you patient enough to let trust build brick by brick, rather than demanding the finished castle? The finest wine cannot be hurried, and neither can the finest friendship. The slow growth is not a bug. It is the very feature that makes it strong and resilient. 3. Be a friend of virtue to have friends of virtue. This is perhaps Aristotle's most challenging and transformative wisdom. The quality of your friendships is a direct reflection of your own character. His famous assertion is that to have friends, one must first be friendly. But he takes it much deeper. To have virtuous friends, one must strive to be virtuous oneself. The logic is inescapable. Friendships of virtue are formed between people who are alike in their excellence of character. A person of good character seeks out and is sought out by others of similar quality. They recognize and are drawn to integrity, courage, and wisdom. Conversely, a person who is not virtuous is incapable of sustaining this highest form of friendship. They may have many friends of utility or pleasure, but they lack the moral capacity to appreciate, desire, or maintain a bond based purely on mutual goodness. You cannot truly wish the good for another, for their own sake, if you are primarily driven by self-interest. This shifts the entire responsibility for our relational world from external circumstances to our own internal development. The quest for better friendships is, fundamentally, a quest to become a better person. It is about cultivating the virtues we wish to see in our companions: honesty, loyalty, compassion, and reliability. Today, it is easy to complain about a lack of good friends or to feel surrounded by people who are unreliable or superficial. But Aristotle's third wisdom forces us to look in the mirror. What kind of friend are you? Are you the person of virtue that you wish to attract? This is not about achieving moral perfection, but about a committed direction of travel. It's about practicing integrity in your own dealings, being a reliable presence in the lives of others, and actively working on your own flaws. When you focus on your own character, you naturally begin to attract and resonate with people on a similar path. You also become a friend of virtue in your existing relationships, elevating them and creating the conditions for them to deepen. Instead of asking, "Why can't I find loyal friends?" try asking, "In what ways can I become a more loyal person?" This reframing is empowering. It means you are not a passive victim of your social circle. You are an active architect of it, starting with the raw material of your own soul. 4. Wish the good for your friend, for their own sake. At the very heart of a true friendship of virtue lies a specific, selfless intention. Aristotle defines it clearly. You must wish and do what is good for your friend. for the friend's own sake, not for your own. This is the purest litmus test for the quality of any relationship. In a friendship of utility, I wish you well because your success benefits me. In a friendship of pleasure, I wish you well because your happiness enhances my enjoyment. Both of these contain a subtle or not so subtle element of self-interest. But in a friendship of virtue, your friend's flourishing becomes an end in itself. You rejoice in their successes even when they don't involve you. You support their dreams even when they take time away from you. You want what is genuinely good for them, as they define it, not as you might prefer it, for your own convenience. This is what modern psychologists might call unconditional positive regard. It is a love that is given freely, without strings attached. It does not mean you never offer constructive criticism. In fact, a true friend must sometimes do so for the other's good. But the underlying motivation is always your friend's well-being, not your own need to control or be validated. In today's world, how many of our relationship conflicts stem from a violation of this principle? We feel resentful when a friend gets a promotion because it makes us feel inadequate, wishing our own good, not theirs. We subtly discourage a friend from pursuing a new relationship or a move to a new city because it would disrupt our comfort zone, wishing our own good, not theirs. We give help that is really about making ourselves feel needed. Practice asking this simple, powerful question in your key relationships. In this situation, am I acting for my friend's sake or for my own? The answer can be illuminating. Cultivating the habit of actively wishing the good for your friends, genuinely celebrating their joys, and supporting their growth, even when it's difficult, is the practice that transforms a good friendship into a great one. It is the ultimate expression of love, wanting the other to thrive, independently of you. 5. Embrace the mirror of the second self. Aristotle made a beautiful and profound observation. A true friend is another self, alter ego. This is more than a poetic sentiment. It is a deep psychological and philosophical insight. In a friendship of virtue, your friend becomes a mirror in which you can see yourself more clearly, and a companion with whom you can undertake the journey of self-discovery and growth. This concept works in two powerful ways. First, because your friend shares your core values and commitment to virtue, their perspective on your life is uniquely valuable. They understand your deepest intentions and can reflect back to you your blind spots, your rationalizations, and your strengths with an accuracy that no one else can. They are a trusted source of honest feedback, helping you to live more in alignment with your own ideals. Second, the shared experience of the friendship itself becomes a central part of your identity. Your joys are doubled because you share them. Your sorrows are halved because you bear them together. In confiding in your friend and being confided in, your inner world expands. You are no longer a solitary consciousness navigating life alone. You are part of a shared narrative, a we, that enhances and enriches the I. Do you have someone in your life you consider a second self? Someone whose judgment you trust implicitly because you know it comes from a place of shared values and genuine care? And do you offer that same mirroring for them? This wisdom encourages us to seek and foster relationships that go beyond superficial support. It's about finding someone with whom you can be fully known, your ambitions, your fears, your failures, without the fear of judgment. It's about creating a space for radical honesty and mutual growth. In our curated lives, we often hide our true selves. Aristotle's second self is the antidote to this isolation. It invites you to lower the mask and invite one another in, not just as companions for the good times, but as co-pilots on the challenging and rewarding journey of becoming who you are meant to be. 6. Understand the necessary role of pleasure and utility. One might think that Aristotle, having exalted the friendship of virtue, would dismiss the other two forms as inferior and worthless. But his sixth wisdom is a model of psychological realism and practical wisdom. The lower forms of friendship are not only natural but necessary, and they often serve as the stepping stones to something higher. It is rare for a perfect friendship of virtue to spring into existence fully formed. Most often, they begin as friendships of pleasure or utility. You meet colleague at work, utility, and discover a shared sense of humor, pleasure. As you spend time together, you begin to glimpse each other's character, how they handle stress, how they treat subordinates, their integrity in difficult situations. If you find the alignment in virtue, the friendship can gradually deepen and transform, with the initial pleasure and utility becoming secondary to the primary bond of character. Furthermore, even in the most perfect friendship of virtue, the elements of pleasure and utility are not absent. They are present and enhanced. You delight in the company of a virtuous friend, pleasure. You can rely on them, and they make your life functionally better, utility. The key difference is that these are no longer the foundation of the relationship. They are the welcome byproducts of a bond that is rooted in something far more stable. This wisdom prevents us from being snobbish about our relationships. It teaches us not to scorn the gym buddy or the work friend, but to appreciate them for what they are, while remaining open to the possibility of something more. Be a wise gardener of your social world. Tend to all your relationships. Enjoy your friendships of pleasure for the joy they bring, without demanding profound life advice from them. Appreciate your friendships of utility for the smooth functioning they provide, without being hurt by their inherent limitations. And most importantly, be alert to the potential for growth. Which of your current pleasant or useful relationships shows a glimmer of something deeper? Nurture that spark. The ordinary soil of shared interests and mutual aid is where the rare flower of true character friendship most often takes root. 7. Accept the natural life cycle of all friendships. Nothing lasts forever, and Aristotle, with his clear-eyed view of the natural world, understood that this includes friendships. His final wisdom is one of acceptance. Most friendships are temporary, and their dissolution is not always a tragedy, but often a natural and understandable process. Friendships of utility end when the usefulness ends. Friendships of pleasure fade when the shared source of enjoyment disappears. This is not a sign of failure or fickleness. It is the inherent nature of those bonds. Even friendships of virtue, the most durable of all, can sometimes end, not through malice, but because people change. If one person in the pair grows significantly in virtue, while the other stagnates or regresses, the fundamental likeness that held them together can fracture. Aristotle is not advocating for a callous dismissal of old friends. He is offering a framework to understand the ebb and flow of our relational lives without unnecessary guilt, regret, or drama. When a friendship ends, we can reflect on its nature. Was it primarily based on a circumstance that is now past? If so, we can cherish the memory and let it go with gratitude for the role it played in our life at that time. We often carry immense guilt when friendships fade. We see it as a personal failure. We cling to relationships long after they have served their purpose, creating strain and inauthenticity for both parties. Aristotle's wisdom gives us the permission to release with grace. It allows us to honor the past without being bound to it. Instead of a messy, dramatic breakup, we can acknowledge that a season of our lives has ended, and with it, a particular connection. This is a profoundly mature and peaceful way to navigate the changing landscape of a long life. Look back at friendships that have faded. Can you see their Aristotelian nature now? Can you appreciate them for what they were, rather than mourning them for what they never could have been? And can you look at your current friendships with this clarity, loving them fully in the present moment, while understanding that all things, save the rarest of bonds, have a natural and honorable end? Aristotle's exploration of friendship is a gift that has endured for centuries, not because it provides easy answers, but because it provides a true and lasting framework. He does not offer us sentimental platitudes. Instead, he gives us a powerful lens of understanding, a lens of utility, pleasures, and virtue, of self-development, of selfless wishing, and of natural cycles. What we learn from him is profoundly practical. It is a guide for action. We learn to diagnose the health of our relationships, to invest our precious time and emotional energy where it counts most, and to release what is meant to be released without shame. We learn that the quest for better friendship is, inescapably, the quest to build a better self. And we learn that the highest form of connection is a shared journey toward a flourishing life, a journey taken with a second self who reflects our best potential back to us. Our conflicts and loneliness may not involve the fate of city-states, but the ache for genuine connection is a universal human constant. The next time you feel that ache, when you scroll through your contacts or feel the sting of a faded bond, remember the old philosopher from Stagira. Remember his map. Cultivate virtue within yourself. Wish the good for others for their own sake. Be patient with the slow growth of what is truly valuable. And know that in doing so, you are not just building a social network. You are actively constructing one of the most essential ingredients of a life well lived, a world of rich, authentic, and enduring connection.